it's not just one top end.
Absolutely not.
So the fact that Minervamon was the top pick, and we've only discussed so far really Maruki, Venus, Neptune, and Jupiter, we've really largely been ignoring Minervamon.
Yeah, and you can't just ignore the tool of D-Digivolution, which will actually be very important in the matchup against these puppets. Arisa Kinosaki being the pole bearer for the puppet archetype, Bvron on the other side, playing a fan favorite deck, of course, from Digimon Liberator. Those puppets did just get some cool support.
They did. And then the thing about Arisa Kinosaki is we don't know if the top end for this deck is going to be necessarily just Sendromon, or if it's Kaguyamon, or if it's going to be Nyabumon.
Right, and we have multiple different directions that we could go here. I have personally been a very big fan of Kaguyamon up to this point, but it plays a very different way than if you are focused on that Sendromon that's more all-in, or Nyabu kind of lets you shoot the gap between both. You can play a little bit of the Kaguyamon with the Nyabutmon or Sendrils all included.
Correct.
So kind of a back and forth. Of course, we have, like we mentioned, the toolbox top end that's going to be playing some Digimon, whereas the puppets, like you said, if they're focused on Kaguyamon, have some very strong control elements, as well as token generation is going to be a big deal for these. Starting off, I think the die roll is going to be kind of important.
I think it will be, because as a puppets player, you typically want to probably get your tamers out. I think, you know, most of the time now, having played a lot of EX11 already for testing purposes, going turn 1, level 3 in the back, emblem into your tamer is just really good value.
It's awesome. Now, you do lose a lot of cards doing that because you drop 2 cards from your hand.
Yep.
But a lot of the time, your tamer might be searching, or your emblem might be doing that for you if you play a Digimon. Now, in specifically the puppets, we don't have an emblem that plays a tamer that searches for cards yet, because
in a way, you kind of do, because if you play the emblem for Arisa, Fabled Waltz, and you drop the Arisa that plays a Shumon,
that's we have
Shumon.
The promo Arisa does play a Shumon, but you have to have Rookie in the back, plus second Shumon that does the searching, plus the promo, plus sometimes it all comes together.
Yes.
And that promo tamer is a very good one to have down early, of course, to facilitate some of these combos. But at the end of the day, there's from what I've learned playing a good bit of puppets myself, is there's quite a bit of different ways that the deck can start up depending on what auxiliary pieces you have. So you always want a Rookie in the back, but you might be searching with a training. And here we're seeing, starting off by going second, you have 2 memory to work with. The Garurumon in the back
is good value.
Very powerful to have early. It has jamming.
Huh. Are we sure it was puppets? Because this looks more like Galaxy.
That does look like Galaxy. And what's interesting to me is actually Nomeo is very proficient in Galaxy himself. So I think maybe a little bit of a switch here. Maybe there's a Risa in this build somewhere and I just got fooled. But I am expecting to see Galaxy a little bit of a different play. But Galaxy does some very similar things to Kanahudimon, where they de-digivolve and re-digivolve, gain a little bit of memory that way. And here it looks like we're going to be playing off. Man, this is the classic. Give a lot of memory, get a lot of value.
What?
Utilizing that effect of the Gatomon, whenever it's played, it lets you DNA digivolve and then attack. The Sylphimon, when digivolving, gets one of your Digimon security attack +1 and +5 KDP. So this is a 13K, if I'm not much mistaken, Sylphimon that does 2 checks.
Yep.
Of course, was able to restand off of the Minerva reboot blocker, and gain more value off of the Wanyamon trigger, because when you DNA digivolve, you're treated as a new Digimon, so you get to reuse all those inherits along the way. Here on the other side, we're finally seeing the Coronamon go in the back. There's a lot of memory. I think Nomeo understanding very well that there's actually not a lot that this deck Galaxy can do when they're given a lot of memory but don't have anything out of the raising.
Correct. That's the big problem right now in Dilemma, because I feel like until you promote out.
Do you see that Quartermon in the back? What is that Quartermon doing down there? I am so curious to see this build of Galaxy. It's always been a toolbox, but usually a toolbox is the very top.
If it's blue-red, that means that we could be going into Apollo or Dianamon. But it looks like we're dropping Neptune.
Neptunemon. Yeah, look,
spinning it.
The original toolbox. Neptunemon, I believe, bottom decks all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest number of sources. So that's why the Minerva is the one that got dropped. Here we're putting that Gomomon in the back. This is the one that if you have less than 4 memory at the start of your turn, you do get a free Digivolution.
Sea Beast or TS trait.
Yeah, and I guarantee you everything in this list of this level 4 is going to have that trait to get that free
Oh, Neptune versus Neptune.
And of course,
try to spin, unsuspend.
Yeah, as you had mentioned kind of in the preamble, it has that bit of a kind of evade protection where once when it would leave, it can suspend instead, and also once per turn, when it suspends, it can stand back up.
Looks like Bvron also has a second Neptunemon in hand. I don't think they're necessarily going to bring that down yet.
They could, but it would seek the same fate that just happened. You would see the Neptune do a little bit of a dance. He'll tap and then restand. So not too much value. I think just going for a little bit of a swing, stand back up.
Suspend, we hit a Tapirmon, the Searcher.
So we get a little bit of a chip, and we're just going to go into the 4 in the back. That is a typical good setup to have for Galaxy, if you're able to start your turn by gaining memory, by putting that 4 back at the bottom. But
is there a 4? I don't think there's a 4. I do see the option card, and I also see I thought I saw the board removal card for Neptune.
Yes, the Neptune option. It looks like we are still promoting. We are activating the effect, so I think we do have hard to tell, but that Aegiomon is that level 4. You're going to add the top security to your hand, and then you get to play one of the Tamers. Looks like we're going for Homeros.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah. Despite picking up a powerful effect off the top of this, Homeros being able to reactivate the when Digivolving effect of the Neptunemon is going to be very powerful. If we're able to remove this Neptune once this turn before that triggers, then we can utilize the second effect of the Homeros to just completely get rid of it.
Is that a plugin?
Yeah, it is.
Evolution plugin S?
I got to see Nomeo utilizing that yesterday. It's a really cool tech because not only is there naturally green in this deck, but there's a lot of Tamers, and as long as you have a Tamer, you can utilize that plugin. Oh, looks like that is going to be a Ruin mode, if I'm not much mistaken here. So
we have Barrier, though, right?
Yeah, I think debating if we want to utilize the Barrier or if we want to utilize... yeah, we are going to utilize the Barrier, and also we get to utilize the inheritable effect of Sylphimon to play out this Garurumon that forces the suspend on Neptune. Now, I believe that Neptune should stand back up here, if I'm not much mistaken.
We did end up trashing.
It stood up earlier.
So I believe, we already did get the restand, of course, from the Homeros, and now we're going to swing for the game with that Neptune. Of course, it kind of didn't matter whether he was standing or not. He's not a blocker, and
Quick
he's not
game
stopping.
One finish, yeah.
And that's a lot of what we saw, or what I got to see yesterday when I was, fielding a little bit of Nomeo's matches, is once you get that one bit of chip, the rest of it kind of all falls down.
A lot of how the Digimon card game has evolved today is you kind of go for 1 or 2 chips, and then basically on the next turn, you can probably wipe out the rest of the security and call it a game.
Yeah, and especially with the Sylphimon is kind of the glue that holds the room together because it is a Digimon that gives any of your Digimon security attack +1. And also there are many effects in the Time Stranger deck that can give a restand effect. You are able to get multiple checks, stand back up, get multiple checks again, and then of course if you have just one bit of finish or 1 chip early on, you kind of see the writing on the wall. And of course the big the Dan and Yuki Tamer, that's the one that kind of finishes the job.
Play the option end of turn attack.
Yes.
That's the big thing. And we're seeing a lot more of that as well, not in just like specific colors, but we're seeing more and more Digimon have the ability to end of turn attack.
Yes.
And that's what we needed.
Yeah, that definitely adds to the ways to finish the game. Back all the way in BT4, we had hybrid for game. Eventually
in
BT5, we had Blitz Omni for game. Fast forward quite a bit. There's been some iterations between here and there, but Omnimon X is the I'm going to attack regardless of my state for game.
Arrestdramon Superior Mode kind of started that entire thing.
Back in BT12. And now here we are with a Tamer that says, you just go at it, buddy.
Yep, do it for me.
You're going into that game too. I would imagine as the puppet player, you want to go second. A lot of the time, these Time Stranger decks, I think, do prefer to go second themselves.
Are we still going to call it puppets at this point?
Yeah, you're right. It's not puppets. It's Galaxy.
Galaxy TS. Galaxy TS.
Yeah, but I am very curious to see how the whole build comes together. We didn't get to see any of the Tamer.
No, we
But
didn't.
of course, it is a mainstay of this type of engine. It really felt like Bvron didn't get a lot of what they wanted to have happening. And I think against a deck Yeah, it looks like he did send Nomeo first. Now we have our level 4 in the back, where we like to see it, over the Xtranomayo.
Nomeo looks like they went into Tapir to Guru. Oh, hard passing at 3 is rough here.
That's tough, because you would love to see a tamer here.
Jamming, don't care.
Yeah, jamming is a big deal. That Omnimon X not going to be stopping any OTKs here.
We've seen Ruin Mode and Omnimon X now at this point.
A lot of top end, and you usually do see that in these Galaxy decks. Already seeing the Sylphie. The Gatomon on play lets you DNA Digivolve Sylphie. Because it's DNA Digivolved, a new Digimon has stood back up.
A second Omni?
We are going to play off the Tapir for a little bit of search, and then Barrier off the Inheritable from the Gatomon. So we still get 2 checks. We get the effect of the Tapir first to search. We're going to be able to grab, I believe, 2 cards here.
Correct.
Because we can grab that Goma as
Correct.
well as one of these Time Stranger trait cards. So either the
Asuna, I think Shiroki?
yeah, and as well, or the Digital Theater.
Yes.
Both
In between? In between.
Yeah. In between, yeah. Both really good search cards. Yeah, here we're just verifying. Yeah, it lets me do a proper trait as well as Time Stranger. Triple checking to make sure that maybe that this Sea Beast is within the realm of those proper traits. It can get a little bit complex sometimes, verifying that the way that traits are recognized in Digimon, because sometimes there's Beast, Sea Beast, Holy Beast. Are they all in the right blanket?
Yes.
And it looks like they are. We just had to get that confirmation. So here we have that winking Gomamon looking at us, and we do grab the Tamer. The Tamers are very important.
Second check is a Lunamon.
But you see, we've blinked, and 3 damage has already gone away.
Yep.
We have to move and fast for Bvron. We didn't really have a chance to get a lot started.
There's only 2 security left, because that Garurumon's chip was already pretty insane.
Yeah. And the cool thing about this deck, the TS deck that makes it so consistent, is we have access to that with Garurumon, but also Aegiomon, in the same way, has Barrier itself, so
Yep.
it's a pseudo form of jamming. And of course, as long as you have access to that Gatomon, that's 2 extra checks off of the Sylphie. It is a lot of damage very fast, and we don't have a lot of time to answer it. The first turn, the fact that Bvron passed meant there wasn't a lot to develop this board extra, so we don't have a lot of choice.
Ooh.
We might just be hard evoing here into the Cress.
But you can strip sources, so that means that you would lose the sources to be played from Sylphie, right?
Off of the Sylphie, right? So that we won't have the Gatomon later. Or the Garurumon.
Correct.
If we can get rid of both of those, it would be a big deal. And we're going straight into the Neptune's, going to get rid of that Tapir. Oh, but it looks like maybe we didn't have enough sources to do the strip here.
Correct, I
Yeah,
believe.
so now it looks like Sylphie's on the board.
We don't have blocker, though, so Sylphie here is going to be huge. If Xtranomayo just digivolves into his own Neptune, then we just start playing a game of, back and forth evade.
Right. Oh, I believe, this Cressamon is the one that makes it so that the opponent cannot suspend. So not stripping the sources, but the Sylphimon's not going to get any more checks in. However, we are going to put the Minervamon out.
De-digivolve.
Yep, and then, of course, getting the effect of the Homeros as well, so that's why we see it going so far down the line. Aegiomon is going to be able to play another Tamer here.
Is this where Asuna comes down? Yes, so we'll trash a card, the TS trait.
And then draw 2 cards. This is a great card to find your tech pieces, because it's a way to find more cards in your hand that don't specifically search for the TS trait.
And Asuna is not just TS trait only, she also does 3 Musketeers.
Yeah, that's a very important thing to note. This is a card that is, multi-talented. She'll go in a couple of different builds.
Yeah.
And here we've given a lot of memory over to Bvron to set up this board. It's a little bit difficult to, to fight through. We've got the Aegiomon next to the Sylphie, next to the Minerva. Both players, of course, drawing for the effect of this level 4. It's the classic,
Here's the thing, though. Xtranomayo has already set up a Gatomon in the trash, which means at this point, we can play the Gatomon back at the start of turn.
Exactly. Start of turn, because of your the Purple Tamer here, we'll be able to play that back. And that means there is a chance that we'll even see Sylphimon come out, swing 2 checks before we get to our unsuspend phase.
Correct.
Off of a completely brand new Digimon that cannot be stunned is an important thing to note.
Gotta love how DNA Digivolve always resets everything. It's the only thing that lets you attack too.
All right, going into our 5-for-1, because we have so many sources, there's nothing, I believe, that we can remove off of our effect, but we are going into Dianamon.
Yep.
That is the classic. We're going to strip some sources here so that we don't have to worry about that selfie float. We're going to bottom deck the Maneuvermon. We're looking at bottom decking, something with fewer sources.
The problem here is that you could still play back the Garurumon and then DNA.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need to do the start of turn DNA stuff. There's only 2 security left here.
Diana does have blocker, though, right?
Diana does have blocker and Ice Clad, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to be a battle you're not going to win.
No, not even close. Oh, we're talking.
Oh, to go into our Neptune. We're going to spin that board away.
Everything goes. Wait.
A little bit of a rewind here. Perhaps not sequencing correctly. We're going to back it up. We've got 1 memory to work with and a dream. It looks like we're going to hard play that Neptunemon to get the same ability. Of course, it has that on play and when digivolving, so everything with the lowest number of sources is spun all the way to the bottom of the deck, and now we have 2 big threats on board, and we have given too much memory.
That's so much memory.
Yeah, well, we've given too much memory to activate this Tamer effect, right? Because if you have, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, if you have 4 or less memory, you get to play the free Digimon from the trash. I think Bvron is maybe betting that Xtranomayo put all of the sources and all of the targets in the trash that he wanted to. It's going to be Hammer Spark to gain a little bit more. If we can...
Chip 1.
We're swung with jamming. That's just going to be a scramble. So the scramble's going to go to hand. We're going to play out the Lunamon. If we don't finish it this turn, this is a pretty terrifying board.
Oh, we unsuspend here.
Yep, going into that Were Garuru.
Do they have Maruki for game?
They have enough memory for it. Now the question is... Oh, and look, they've got a plug-in as well.
They got the plug-in. Yeah, because they have Neptune in hand, so they can Evo Neptune on top of this. Unsuspend attack. Yeah, I think they got it here. Oh, they are going Maruki.
Yeah, the Werguru does have evade, but I think they're just going straight to the Maruki for a safer swing, because Maruki has the when attacking ability to restand as well. So it looks like we're going to, with the effect of the Maruki, tap down that Lunamon, and then we can swing into a Digimon with Piercing. We're going to restand here. We're playing out to tap down the whole board.
Yep. And this Garurumon also has Rush, right?
Because of the Marukimon, yes.
Yeah.
Maruki gives all of your Time Stranger traits that Rush ability.
Yep.
Naturally, doesn't come easy, but here we're stood back up, ready to swing, and then of course, because of the Maruki's effect, if anything happened to it, we might be able to finish off with the Garurumon. But that is exactly what I saw a lot of from Nomeo yesterday, is very fast damage that's difficult to deal with, presenting a board that is very resilient to the opponent's removal, and then even when they're able to take some of those pieces down,